my experience was, I guess, before birth, a lot of the male stories I hear, support person stories I hear, is the feeling of helplessness, of sitting on the side and not being able to do anything. And that's the complete opposite to what I had. I was like working from start to finish from the very beginning. And one of the reasons for that is our normal midwife had injured her hand before this event, so she wasn't available. So we ended up having, I think, 4 or 5 midwives swap out every 2 hours or so. So it meant I was the only constant throughout the whole thing. And they would hand over their notes to each other, but that was reliant on their own communication skills. So I had to be on top of what was being told or what was being crossed to make sure that they were aware of things. And one of the first issues we had was what Rachel mentioned, the amount of oxytocin going in. She was having contractions every 30 seconds, then 30 seconds off, and 30 seconds on, and 30 seconds off, very early on. And so I had to say to the new midwife, I say, hang on, this is normal. She's not getting a break. She's standing up, trying to go through these contractions, and then like immediately hitting another one. So I had to like negotiate with the midwife to say, hang on, can we examine this? Can we look at this again? Is this the right level? You said there might be a lot of oxytocin. So we went through that stage, and they reduced the amount of oxytocin, and then the contractions started naturally from Rachel's own body, which they were really impressed with. But I was like, oh, of course, she's pretty good. And then they struggled getting the heartbeat of the baby. It was getting confused with Rachel's heartbeat for quite a while, so they put a trace on the baby's head, which was effective for a little while, but then it fell out again. So then they put the ones on the belly, and that was getting mixed up as well. So they couldn't really, I think they went through almost 2 hours of not having the baby's heartbeat. They had Rachel's. So that was a little bit tricky as well. I think one of the best bits of pain relief for Rachel was the shower and the hot water from the shower. So she was in there for a good 2 or 3 hours with me, like showering the hot water on her back. But as the midwives were swapping over, they were always discussing which heart beats what. And they decided that while she was in the shower, once she'd gone into the critical phase, because I could hear the change in moans, which they couldn't hear because they kept changing over. So I had to say, hang on, this is definitely different sound happening now. They were like, well, we need to know the heartbeat of the baby if we're going into this critical phase. And Rachel was in the zone in the shower, so I had to like negotiate between them and say, come on, can we stay in the shower? Do we need this heartbeat? Yeah, we do. All right, then I had to convince Rachel to come out onto the bed and help her out of the shower.
Yeah. I think one of the things that you said before the labour and then sort of reiterated afterwards is, without having done the class with you, Tracy, Adrien didn't really know what his role was, but had that view of what you see in the media and sort of popular culture about what a labour looks like and what the partner should do, like running around yelling at people or whatever. And I think it was just like, it was such a revelation for you to be clear about the things that you could do to support me, and like kind of the communication and sort of understanding the process, so that you could really like make those, sort of be an advocate and make those decisions, or sort of negotiate with me as well that okay, this is it's a critical time, we need to like, you know, do what the nurses are saying for the good of you and for the good of the baby. And I think that just allowed me to really focus on that sort of mental aspect of just listening to my body and just going with that, and really sort of being conscious of like the different stages. I guess I really was aware of what was happening when, and what I could do to assist it through, particularly when it sort of hit that sort of pushing phase. Like I'd listened to the track so many times, I kind of knew exactly you know, what was happening in each stage, and for me, understanding the physiology of what was happening to my body in each stage helped me manage it and understand it and kind of accept it, rather than having that sort of unknown fear of like this pain or thing happening. I could really clearly see, okay, well, this is my uterus doing this thing to open like that's, you know, that's what's happening, that's what I need to let happen. And then once I was fully dilated, okay, like that transition into, okay, now I need to push, and this is what's happening to my body. And having that knowledge, I think, really helped me just accept it